Hello everybody, Rob Taylor here from Team Taylor and Keller Williams Capital District. And it's that time again. It's time for another episode of It's Flippin Friday. Now today was one of those days where I just said, you know what? I have a couple houses I wanted to show you, but this is more important. I had a couple meetings this morning with what I call flippers bailouts. Basically, what does that mean? That means I got calls from people who are in the middle of a flip, or they're got a flip that's been on the market for a while and they're having problems, and they say, Rob, can you come and take a look at what we got going on and let us know what you think? I'm glad, one, that they called Team Taylor and gave me a call. They respect my expertise in this area enough to get my opinion. I wish they would have called me sooner. So what does that mean for you? For you guys, I said, you know what got me thinking? I probably should put together kind of a top 5 of what in the last 90 days I've been getting calls from or I've been running into. Now, the people who have been working with me with flips from start to finish, they don't have these problems. But this show has exposed me to a lot of other people who come to us and kind of want to find out what it takes to flip, or maybe how can I help bail them out. So, our top 5 flip busters in the last 90 days. Number 5. The number 5 one is they don't know the area or the market that they got their flip in. They think they do. Oh, I know some people got some nice houses over here, so I will buy this house over here. You gotta know the market. You gotta know what that area is doing. Every area is different. And then they find out when it's too late that what they thought was gonna happen for that particular area is not what's actually happening. So it's very important to know the area. There's sometimes a difference between one side of the street and the other side. Okay? Very, very important. You gotta have that information before you buy the house. So that's number 5. Number 4, they didn't do inspections. They didn't do their due diligence. So many people go through a house and they say, oh, I know, I walk through houses, I work on them all the time. I don't need to do an inspection on this property. I can just buy it because I walk through it. That will come back to bite you most of the time. Septic inspections. If you're not on public water, sewer, you have to do your septic and your well inspections, because guess what? The buyer, when you get done that you want to sell it to, is going to do it. And that is absolutely the wrong time to find out. I've had it happen 3 times in the last 90 days. People did not check a septic. They did not do a home inspection. They didn't do a water test. They didn't do, there's so many things. Don't be that person, because it will cost you money in the end. So that's number 4. Number 3, not enough money to finish the project. They go in thinking, oh, it's only gonna cost this. They don't do real background work as to what needs to be done. They don't stick to what they plan sometimes, but more importantly, they run out of money, and that is a big problem. So what do they do then? Then they do crap finish work. They don't do everything the right way. They cut corners. How many times have you looked at pictures and some parts look good and then you just see the paint job is horrible, or the trim work is bad, or they did all the nice stuff and the appliances is old. Everything else is new. So many times people run out of money. You gotta know your budget. You gotta know your numbers, and you gotta stick to them. That's number 3. Number 2. It took too long to finish the work. You cannot take 5 and 6 months to finish project. The market will be different, or can be different, in that long a time. You gotta stay on budget and on time. And time is so important. Look at this, for example. The flip was supposed to be done in September. Now it's done in December. Guess what? We got snow outside. The market is different in December than it would have been in September. That is a big difference. So now maybe you got to heat it, which you didn't budget for, which goes into you could run out of money. You gotta shovel, you gotta do all these things that you had not planned on because it took too much time to get the work done. So again, the number 2 reason, especially we see all the time, things take too long. So you contractors out there, stay on top of it. And if you have a contractor working for you or with you, you have to stay on top of them to stay on time. Time is very important. Markets can change. We went from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And you could have, it's a big difference between the two. The number 1 budget buster or flip buster that we run into is they paid too much money for the house. What do I mean by that? They bought the house at what they thought was the right price. They put the money in they thought, because now they come to me and say, well, I got this much money in the property, I have to sell it for X. That's not how it works. That's not how it works in this game. You cannot price a house based on what you spent or what you bought it for, because that is not what a house is worth. You got to know your numbers, and that's why it's important when you're working with Team Taylor, or if you have someone you're working with, they got to know what it's worth or what it's going to be able to be sold for at the end. And if you pay too much, it doesn't matter. You lost the money from the day one you bought it. You just don't know it yet. You didn't figure it out until you go to sell it. That was one of the conversations we had. You have to buy it correctly. If you pay too much, you could do the best job in the world. You can stay on budget, stay on time, and you still could lose money. You cannot pay too much for the property. Well, how do you keep from doing that? Again, know your numbers and work backwards. We show you how to do that. If you've been watching this show we're on episode 31, I believe, right now. You would look back at some old episodes, you'll see us go over the formula and help you with that. But we help people all the time. We're actually starting to do some classes with people who want to be flippers and kind of walking them through what they should do step by step. So, 5, don't know the area, market that they got the house in. Number 4, didn't do inspections or due diligence. Number 3, not enough money, and they end up with crap finish work. Number 2, it took them too long to finish the job. And number 1, they paid too much for the property. So on this Flippin' Friday, I just thought this was important. Help you avoid these things so when you're doing your flip, you're making money, and that's what it's about. So until we see you next Flippin' Friday, everybody have a great week. And if you know anybody or run into anybody that is looking to buy or sell, make sure you point them in the direction of Team Taylor. We appreciate all you do, and we love doing this show, and we're glad you keep watching. See you next week.